Hi, I'm Catherine Ayers-Wickenhauser, Director of Communications at Direct Trust. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Katherine Lusk, who's recently been named one of our interoperability heroes. Katherine, welcome.
It's so great to be here with you today, Catherine. Such an honor.
And, this is fun for me too, because I consider us friends. We definitely have had conversations in the background too. And so I was very excited when you were nominated for this award. But for those who are listening who may not know about you and the organizations that you're involved with, can you tell us more about yourself as well as THSA and AHIMA?
I sure will. This is a great deal of fun for me. I've had the great fortune to be given the opportunity to have a deep understanding that leveraging technology, delivering trusted health information when needed, where needed, securely is fundamental to healthy outcomes and to supporting the healthcare evolution that we have going right now. Healthcare is changing so fast and so dramatically that having that trusted information when and where you need it is pivotal. And so the value of trust along the journey and through the fabric of our healthcare delivery is really pivotal to moving forward with interoperability. And I've had the good fortune to learn about that, both with my professional organization and in my roles in healthcare delivery. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Texas Health Services Authority. The Texas Health Services Authority was created by the Texas State Legislature in 2007 as a public-private partnership with a goal to promote, coordinate, and support secure electronic exchange of clinical information in Texas. THSA sits in the middle, a trusted role between public and private entities, a place of convening, facilitating, and sharing trusted data. Well, I can tell you that my role with AHIMA is just the same. AHIMA has been serving the role of a trusted partner since 1928. I was their 93rd president. As a global nonprofit association representing health information professionals who work with health data for more than 1 billion patient visits a year. We think THSA is large with all of Texas, but think of it, 1 billion patient visits a year, and that there are health information professionals involved in data integrity all along that way. What we really do is ensure that information is accurate, complete, available along all of the intersections of healthcare delivery for technology, for finance, for business, for research. We make sure that the information is trusted. So that kind of goes back to THSA, doesn't it? THSA makes sure that it's trusted information for the state of Texas. AHIMA makes sure that it's trusted information globally. We're involved from a national standpoint and from a global standpoint. So I was just absolutely thrilled when the opportunity came to work for THSA and really share my knowledge that I've gained from my working with AHIMA and from working in the healthcare sector for only 30 plus years.
Katherine, thank you for that description. And, it's great to hear about the convener approach of both organizations. And speaking from Direct Trust perspective, we certainly consider ourselves akin to that as well. We consider ourselves a convener. And thinking to how you were describing AHIMA and being an AHIMA member, I certainly recognize the impact that AHIMA has in the healthcare space. And I think it's important that we recognize that and celebrate it. So you're bringing a great perspective to the conversation today, thinking about that piece of our industry and how important these professionals are to where we're going and what we're doing and how we're trying to do it. So, I'm thinking specifically about AHIMA and Direct Trust, and I am struck by how similar our missions are. And thinking specifically about trust, we keep on talking about trust. Obviously, it's in Direct Trust's name. We care very much about trust. So zooming in on that a little bit, can you describe what trust is to you and what you think it means in our little corner of the world?
God, isn't it uncanny how their vision statements really complement one another?
Hmm.
Direct trust instills trust in the secure exchange of health information for improved patient care. Pretty powerful, isn't it? Well, AHIMA believes in a world where trusted information transforms health and healthcare by connecting people, systems, and ideas. They are so complementary of one another, building on the strengths of each different professional organization. So, what does it mean to me? Well, healthcare is complicated and it's messy, but the smart ones, such as AHIMA and Direct Trust, realize that building on trust is key to unlocking the incredible future that we all hold. So, what does trust mean to me? It means assuming good intent, knowing that everyone is coming from a different view, but that we all want a healthier population for less cost. And that takes working together. No one person, no one profession, no one organization has all the answers. But trusting in one another, we can get there. That to me is what trust is: assuming good intent, believing in one another. Trust is the golden thread that's woven through the tapestry and the journey that we're all on. It's the golden thread, it's the white line on the highway. It's what keeps us in the bumpers, it's what keeps us all going, knowing that we are all committed to a better world. You can't help but trust.
And I think this is so powerful because um, really what I hear you talking about are relationships. It's people. And so often we approach this long word of interoperability and the concept of interoperability from the technical side of
Mhm.
infrastructure and integration and making things work and all of those tons of acronyms that exist too. But what I hear you saying is that it's really about people and relationships, and
Mhm.
that's as much a factor in us making progress and advancing interoperability as the technical piece. So I'm curious if you feel the same, and then is there anything maybe that you would challenge the industry to think differently about the relationship and people side of the industry?
I would, Catherine, and you are so spot on. What is really pivotal and what people forget when they're talking about zeros and ones is that health information is really human information. And it's humans giving that information, and it's humans capturing that information, and it's personal, isn't it? It means something to each and every one of you. So I'd really push the industry harder on data integrity. Technology works better regardless of the technology if there's clean data in the background. And you have to have an understanding of the community that you're serving. Diversify the development conversations. You and I have been involved in some conversations here recently where people have a big range of views, don't they? And they have very strong opinions. And not that their opinions are right or wrong, but their opinions are narrow. And my opinion by itself would be narrow as well. But if we listen to one another and trust in good intent, we can build upon that. So I would really push the industry to push harder for data integrity, to work with different members of the community, work with the people who capture the data, work with the people who massage the data internally, work with the manual semantic interoperability leaders that there are in the world. Semantic interoperability is such a cool word, but really all it means is capturing that context and putting it into where you can transmit it electronically. Work with those people who are doing that data normalization to understand what it really means. So force those functions, diversify those conversations, and call on more stakeholders. Sometimes when you sit in development meetings, you sit with individuals who are incredibly smart, just really brilliant human beings, but they don't have the front end knowledge or the middle knowledge or actually what the community needs on the back end. And so really involving all of those different people in there and helping to understand the data integrity along the way would be what I would push the industry towards.
And the data integrity concept and that you would be an advocate of that is no surprise to me. I know we personally have had many conversations about that, and you really do advocate in the background and have many conversations. I've seen those conversations that you've had and the impact that it's had of facilitating that conversation, of assuming best positive intent, like you said. And something else you said, Katherine, talking about perspectives and varying perspectives and how that can come together and give us a bigger picture, I think is so critical. So since I know, and since I have the knowledge and I've seen you work in the background, I'm curious, maybe could you give the audience any advice or maybe describe any success that you've had in facilitating trust in relationships and something that might be helpful to someone else listening?
Oh, success in facilitating trust. Well, I can tell you that what I do is I really assume good intent, and I try to be kind regardless, and calm in my delivery, and focus on the facts. Even when I disagree, focus on the facts and listen and understand everyone's views matter. And I try to always focus it back on the greater good. Not what's good for me personally, because that's really not important in the big scheme of things, is it? It's really not. What's really important is that we make an impact on the world and that we make the world a better place. AHIMA really works hard to make the world a better place, and it's a professional organization with 60,000 people who are all working to make the world a better place. Direct trust works to make the world a better place through trusted standards and for a trusted platform. It's trusted stakeholders that communicate. THSA does the same thing from a statewide perspective. So what I would say for building trusted relationships is listen, push each other. It is okay to push back. It is okay to help your partners move forward. You don't have to be afraid that pushing back on somebody is going to make them not like you, or make them not do business with you, or make them ostracize you. Now, sometimes it might, but most of the time it won't. I will give you a couple of good examples that Katherine knows about. Recently, I was working with a HISP and with another EMR vendor, and I was pushing back on them from the state of Texas standpoint about how I really wanted them to engage more fully in exchanging information across the state of Texas in support of our community, of our patients and our families. And once I began talking to those individuals, and I assumed good intent, and so did they, I found that there were some issues that we could resolve together, and that improved electronic exchange of trusted information across the state of Texas immediately. But it took a trusted conversation. And after that, I told Catherine Wickenhauser, I said, that individual's not going to like me, neither one of them, ever again in the future. And they're going to stop taking my emails. And you know what? That didn't happen. One of them invited me to apply to serve on a national board. She sent me a message and said, I so admire your advocacy for data integrity. It made a difference with me. And you know what that did to me is I already thought highly of that individual, but now I really think highly of them and I want to work with them. So don't assume that pushing back and helping each other be better people is going to do something terrible to your relationship. It won't. We're all adults. We're all growing. And if it does, well, maybe that person needs a little nudge, because all of us need a little nudge sometimes. So assume good intent, push yourself, push your partners, leverage best practices. Don't be so arrogant that you think you know everything. Look for best practices. And my favorite thing is to lean on AHIMA's policies. But I also lean on technology's best policies. I believe in the direct trust framework. I do. And so I think that is fundamental. And I believe in other frameworks that support standards that allow us to exchange information in a trusted manner. It's that word trust again.
And I'm just struck by, I think, the power of perspective. And then I heard this phrase a long time ago, and it stuck with me because I believe in it so much. And I say it all the time, but collective wisdom. And I think you've highlighted that. So, we see things how we see it. And by bringing people together, by varying our perspectives, we have that collective wisdom. And I think that extends too to organizations like AHIMA and part of the value that AHIMA provides to its members. I'm also a big believer in continuing education and personal development, that we never stop learning. We're always learning. And I know that's important to you too. That's, something that we've bonded over. And so I'm curious, just, knowing where we're at in the state of the world, and that maybe we've had to forego some educational opportunities over the past couple of years. Is there anything that you're looking forward to coming up that you would share with the listeners today?
Oh, for sure. AHIMA does believe in lifelong learning, and I believe in lifelong learning. I would challenge all of you to spend a little bit of time every day investing in yourself. And what I'm excited about right now is, after 3 years without an in-person annual conference, we're going to gather in Columbus, Ohio for AHIMA 2022. I've never been to Columbus. I'm really looking forward to it. We've kept in touch virtually, and we do challenge each other to grow intellectually. Believe me, while we are a cohesive group and a professional group, we challenge one another. So it will be great to be able to see my virtual challengers in person at AHIMA 22. Another thing that I'm really excited about, and I hope you are too, Katherine, is the 2022 Civitas and Direct Trust Summit in San Antonio, Texas. I'm looking forward to both of these groups getting together and hosting a conference and meeting the different components of both groups. I know the Direct Trust group pretty well, and I know the Civitas group, the Health Information Exchange groups, well too. So it's really going to be interesting going to that summit, and that's going to be in real life too. So I have 2 things that I'm looking forward to this year.
Well, I'll definitely be adding AHIMA to my list for conferences this year. I have been in the past, and I know it's an incredible conference. Actually, somewhat coincidentally, I think one of the first times that I really learned about direct trust was at an AHIMA event. So it's very serendipitous, how this all comes together.
I know.
But, thank you for mentioning our conference too. Certainly, we're very excited to partner and to have an in-person event and a virtual component too, to this year's event as well. So definitely things to look forward to. So much of our conversation today has been about trust and relationships and how critical they are. And so just thinking back and reflecting on our conversation, I'm so glad that you are here today. Congratulations on your recognition of being an Interop hero. I know I've seen you in action. I know that you are. And before we close out, any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
I would like to say everyone can help in this journey. Every single person can help us move towards interoperability. Focus on data integrity in your organization, the capture of patients' names in a standardized manner, capturing all of the addresses in Project USA format, following interoperability data integrity principles, and encouraging adoption of direct secure messaging. Put on your fax cover sheet. Don't do that faxing anymore. Here's my direct secure messaging address. Use this as technology. Really help to push the community. Remind people that faxing is unsafe. Remind them that information received electronically that is trusted can be ingested into their EHR and drive down costs. It's so hard to remember these things as you get caught up in the day-to-day activities. But if we just take a little minute to remind people and to give that little nudge, you never do know when that nudge might be the one thing that tips things over in the right direction. So
Totally.
there's my speech for the day.
I love it. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's so valuable. And it's a team. It's a team effort. Every member is a contributor to the team. Team interoperability. I love it. Team Interop. So Katherine, thank you again for being here today. It's been tremendous to have this conversation with you.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm so honored to be an Interop Hero. I mean, really, really honored. Ranks right up there with being President of AHIMA.
Well, I'm glad. And I know the impact that you've had within the community. And I hope that today's conversation inspires further action for our listeners of how they can be part of the team, how they can facilitate trust in relationships, and they can advance interoperability too. To learn more about the Interoperability Hero Initiative and watch other spotlight interviews like this, check out directtrust.org/Interop Hero.